Happy today. I am William Brown from IamWilliamBrown.com. This is Disconnect to Connect One Word Conversations. One Word Conversations is a self-discovery, relationship-building conversation designed to invite you to look at your language. Many times we come up with all the wonderful words that we can think of and still find ourselves in a place of disconnection. Mainly because words don't just come with definitions, they come with stories, expectations, feelings, and even energy. But I believe by having a one word conversation, you'll learn more about yourself, the person that you're speaking with, and maybe, just maybe, strengthen your relationship. One More Conversations is brought to you by IamWilliamBrown.com, a place to help you be yourself and live your life. One way that I spotlight what's available at I Am William Brown, the store, is our U cards. Our U cards are a part of the Beyond the Shell series. Beyond the Shell series is a series of children's books, finding you beyond what protects you and the journey to stay you. And there's also a journal. So the complement to the cards also is the journal, and the cards are intention setting and journal prompts. So the cards that I picked to set the intention for this conversation is I am heard, you are grateful, and the quote card is be you, do you, for you. So with my intention set, we'll see how that comes up within the conversation. This is the moment where I invite you to like, share, ask questions, leave a comment, and when you're watching on YouTube, subscribe so you can get all of the alerts and everything. So the word today, it's kind of funny. I've gotten so used to not giving anybody the words. I've gotten in the habit of waiting until they show up. But the word today is why. Why has been coming up a lot for me. And it's, as a coach, why comes up many times in helping people discover things. But as I do, I invite my guests in so we can have a conversation.
William, good morning.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. This is the moment where I invite my guests to introduce themselves however it feels comfortable to them.
Thank you. Thank you so much, William. Thank you, everybody at home. My name's Ben Albert, and ultimately, I'm just an ordinary guy here to have a good conversation. I've got a business life, I have a personal life. I love this show and I love the concept and I love the choice of why because wow, I don't even know where this is going to go. And I'm just here for the trip. I'm here for the ride.
You're here for the trip. That's funny. That's something that I would tell my wife anytime she would like be asking questions. Why? And I was like, just enjoy the ride. Just enjoy the ride. It's all good. It's all good. It's like that got me through the first 30. So let's see if it will get us through the next 45 minutes. So the word of the day is why. So how does the word why land for you?
In so many ways. I almost wish I didn't have preparation. I didn't know my word would be why because it's such a big word and it's hard to know where to start. But
Right.
the way it lands from the start is it's just like one of the most important words that I know. The ability to question, the ability to discover, the ability to dive deeper because there's always, in a business context, the what's your why, as in, I want to help as many people as possible. I want to
Right.
service my family. There's things that we all believe in, but you can continue to ask why and dive deeper. And
Right.
maybe I'm business driven because of my childhood. There's so many places we can go with this. I kind of want to pass the torch to you and hear a little bit
Right.
about your thoughts on why.
Right. I think really my core value, one of my core values, is curiosity. And so why shows up for that. It's the inquiry to really kind of look and see um, why this is happening, why it's like beyond what, right? In some cases I really don't care what it is. It's like why it is more important to me. Why is this in front of me? Why am I interested in this? And so it's just the level of the inquiry and just really being open to that discovery, as you were saying. And I realized that there were a large parts of my life that I just stopped asking why. I just accept it, you know? And I felt during that time I was just losing, myself. I didn't have the relationships that I wanted, and it's because I stopped looking for and asking why.
Mm. Like, give us an example. I'm curious where in your life that you've kind of had your blinders on and
Mm.
forgot to ask why, maybe.
Yeah, definitely in my personal life, but the example that's coming up for me was like in my business, right? And it's kind of in not in my business, but in my work. So there were um I was, the only one working out of the home, right? So the responsibility of that. And so the there were a number of jobs that I had that I just showed up for. I got hired, showed up for it. Something would happen, didn't ask why, didn't understand it, don't know why we're doing that, but pay me, right? And it's just kind of it got to the point where um there's like a pile of whys. That's that's what my work was, right? There was like it's like, why am I doing this? Why can't I find another job? It's just like because I stopped asking why, right? Because I just wanted to show up. There are a lot of areas in my life that I believe that just show up, just show up, be responsible, and don't ask why.
Mm.
Just kind of go. And I realized that um, that worked until it didn't. And so that's really how it was showing up for me.
Yeah, it's interesting how, I say just show up and try to be exceptional. You're not going to be perfect at everything, but
Right.
it's very easy to forget what got you to where you were.
Right.
And I have my blinders on all the time. I mean, I know personally, it was a few weeks ago, couldn't explain it to my girlfriend. I couldn't explain it to anyone. I just started crying and I was
Mm,
just bawling and there wasn't really an explanation. And my girlfriend's like, "What's wrong? Why? What's going on?" And I'm literally just like, "I don't know. I'm
mm,
just having this emotional moment. I
right.
can't explain it and I'm embarrassed because I'm around people. I just want to go and hide and it's making it worse."
Right.
Um, so I couldn't answer the question why, and then I asked myself, why? What brought this up is one of the intentions you said. Forget the exact, but it was based around gratitude,
Right. You're
and
grateful. Right.
you were grateful, and I practice gratitude on a daily basis, whether it's writing in my journal, trying to provide a recommendation, an introduction, or just like a free gift or a piece of gratitude to one person a day.
Right.
And I have this mindset of positivity, and I start to neglect a lot of the things that aren't going well in my life. I have those blinders on. I
Mm,
forget to ask why. And then you just explode one day because you're acting like everything's perfect and everything actually is really good, but
right.
you're not asking why or addressing your weak spots. They're kind
Right.
of laying dormant. And that's why, I like this word because if I don't ask myself that question, I bawl my eyes out and I never
Right.
actually solve the root cause or make it better for next time, you know?
Right. It's like for me, it feels like our life is inviting us to inquire about it, right? You know, it is, and there is a part of our society, or my society, or how I see a society, that is inviting us to not be curious about our life, right? So it's like that is the fight for me. It
Mm,
is really being this level of self-awareness, or being aware of my life and asking myself, that's interesting. Why is that? Why is that and I will tell you, the biggest challenge, um, in my marriage, so in my personal relationship, and I think even in my family, is why, right? Is that because sometimes there's a difference between, um, asking questions, and questioning someone.
mm,
And too often, when why comes up for me, within my family, or people that I'm around a lot, they see that it occurs to them that I am questioning them. And it's like, I'm not questioning you. I'm just getting information. I'm asking questions so I understand. I believe how I can be of service, and show gratitude, is by listening. And the only way that I can listen is I can invite people to speak, to tell what's, to say, to share what your desires are, what is this all about? Because, assumptive communication, works, sometimes in marketing. Sometimes we make assumptions about what our customers need, and everything. But really making a difference in our lives, and in our customers' lives, and in our relationships, and for ourselves, right? Is when we just ask, when we just inquire, says, why is this important to you? Um, why are you being emotional right now? Right? It's those things, that it's not questioning that you shouldn't have emotions, right? You know, but it's like giving you access to, the root, are are the source, of it. And I think for me, as I was using the example of my work situation, and not asking the whys, it's because I felt that if I ask too many questions, then I could lose my job, right? Then, because if I find out that they're trying to keep something from me, right?
mm.
Then it's like the gig is up, and 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 so that's why that is why, for me, sometimes I don't say, I have a question that goes in my head, and it's like, yeah, I'm not going to ask that, right? Because, like, was it Jack Nicholson, right? You can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
And it's not, in some cases, it's not that I can't handle the truth, or maybe it is, but me using different words, is that at the current moment, I don't want to deal with the truth. I don't want to deal with the fact that this could be something horrible, right? This could be something that I'm not expecting. And so it's like, you know what? I rather not ask why.
Yeah. The truth can be rough. I feel like to go a layer below, um, wow, a lot of what you just said is resonating for me. And when you ask why, like, why did you do, bad example, but why did you cheat on your significant other?
Right.
There's gonna be a storyline that's very surface level, going through emotional issues, was very drunk, It was an
Right.
in the moment thing. We both regret it. That's why I told you the day after. That's the explanation. But the
Right.
why gets deeper and deeper and deeper to where maybe at the core, the reason this isn't a good example is because no one should cheat ever, in my opinion. It's
Right. You
never
don't want to
okay.
justify anything, but
I don't want to
there is a source
just
to it. Right.
yeah, maybe the reason really isn't out of poor intent.
Mhm.
It's out of abuse, out of miscommunication. And the reason cheating, I'm like, I wish I used a different example, is because
Right.
it's something I do not condone. But
Right.
I have made mistakes in my life where I've said the wrong word because I literally was unaware that it would offend somebody. And I wasn't coming from a negatively intentioned place. But
Right.
since we didn't know each other's whys,
Right.
what I said was hurtful.
Right.
And there's so many circumstances in life where the intention is really what I'm getting at. The
Right.
when you keep diving deeper and deeper into the why, I feel like the intention is
Right.
what we need to look at. And if the intention is coming from a pure or worst case scenario misguided place that can change,
Right.
we can solve that, but we can never get to that unless we ask why, unless we don't say, you are a terrible person for saying that word. You are
Right.
unforgivable for making that decision.
Right.
We can't heal unless we get down to, is this poorly intentioned or not? And if it's poorly intentioned, we really got to dive deep into the why. But when
Right.
it's not, sometimes just putting love and understanding and listening, it's
Right.
not going to take back the action, but we can
Mhm.
heal from those traumas.
Right. And no, I really, that's it was like it was a terrible example and a perfect example, right?
It's terrible because it's so nuanced that I
Right.
don't want people to think
Right.
that I'm saying it's okay. And that's why I'm like, oh
Right.
my gosh.
Right. It's and so but that is the more that we are willing to really I think what lies beneath that. You know, I have a conversation around my coaching, self-awareness coaching, called step 0,
Hmm,
right? Is the step that we take before we take the first step or the next step. And there is and I think that step is awareness. And it is, for those moments that you're about to do something, I believe we can get access to who we are by asking, why? Why is this important? Why, and and if it's because I want to, and you do it, deal with that. Own it. And recognize that, and then it's not explaining or anything. Most of the time, I think the actions that we do are what we believe. Our beliefs and what we're committed to, consciously and unconsciously, are the actions that we take. And so I'll tell you my why. The
please.
the why I coach, and I just got access to this, and I think it's the reason why it's coming up that I need to share it right now in the context of what I was just saying, is that my why is doing whatever I can to help people become aware of how awesome they are beyond their humanity. And that's my why. That's my freedom to recognize that I am not my choices, and I am my choices, right? And the more that I am able to really just be with that, then endless possibility is can happen. And I think many of us, um, The challenge that, the quote card that came up was be you, do you, for you. And, an immature way of looking at that is, that's a very selfish thing to, it's like you don't care about anyone else. But
Right.
the reality, the mature invitation to that is that the more that you really understand who you are, and that unapologetically be that, and then you unapologetically, maybe I need to stop saying that word because it's not coming out the way I want.
One of those mornings for me
Do
too.
right, do that, and it's for your benefit, but not just for you, it's for others. The more that we show up as ourselves, the more that the world gets us, gets
Right.
access to us. And I think many times asking why is just a questioning because of conditioning, right? Because this is how we're supposed to show up. This is how we're supposed to show up in relationships. This is how we're supposed to show up at work, you know, and when we don't, there's a questioning, let's just say that to do the difference. And then it caused, and then for me, it, when I'm, when there's questioning, I fall into this spiral of blame and shame, right? And that never ends well,
Yeah.
right? And so how can we really look how people words um words land for people how they were first introduced, you know? And so then it's our opportunity to expand our understanding of it. We could stop at this is what why means. This is how why feels. This is the story around why. And just move from there. When Simon Sinek came out with that book,
Start
why,
with
right?
why.
Start with why.
Yeah.
That didn't resonate with me at all. Because why at that time in my life it was a rabbit hole. It was guys, why, I was that kid. Why? And it's like, just stop, just, it's like most of the adults around me was just like, please, just stop. Have a cookie, move, right? I mean, it's like, it's that type of thing. And so how the language that I would use is my what for. I changed it to what for.
Hmm.
And so the more that I have access to what I'm doing this um, for what, and that helped me get to the place. But now, a number of years later, I can embrace why. I have expanded my understanding of why and my appreciation of why to be able to hear the message of start with why. You don't have to end with why,
Mm-hmm.
but you can start there.
Absolutely. I mean, it's anyone who's vision driven and wants to find a tribe of people that are similar to them, that believe in similar things, similar goals. You need to let people know what your why is.
Right,
Your why isn't necessarily, some people it is. It's not to become super rich so you can have every color Lamborghini.
right,
You're pursuing excellence because you want to dig wells and you want to, buy
yeah,
malaria nets, and you
right,
want to ultimately protect and use your success to have a better influence on people. But if people don't understand that, that's your purpose, you might just look money hungry for
right,
being career driven. It's got to start with the why, especially in marketing, just in the fact that people don't necessarily want to go to the gym 5 to 7 days a week. They want to feel good They want to have a six pack. They want to be healthy. So if
Right.
you go, you're going to have to train 2 hours a day, 3 to 5 days a week for the next 3 months. That's
Right.
exhausting. If we start with the why, longer life, better health, more energy, look
Right.
better, feel better,
Right.
you can get the message across. So, of course, why is important in marketing. And I feel like Simon Sinek, when he talks about starting with why, then going to how, then going to what,
Hmm.
that's what he's talking about. But you've addressed things that are even far deeper than that. If you're on a sales pitch, a marketing message, a promotional opportunity, you do want to start with the why. But with yourself, you need to go even deeper, because
Right.
how can you accomplish this business why if you're unhappy yourself, or
Right.
if you're not, allowing yourself to grow and expanding there? How do you expect it to translate? So it's great in a sales marketing context to
Right.
know your why, to connect to people,
Right.
but kind of like disconnect to connect. You need to disconnect from that message, that
Hmm.
your slogan, your mission statement of your company. Disconnect from that, go inside to figure out, is this actually something I'm aligned with?
Right.
Is this actually my why?
Right.
Because if you want to help a million people and you want to dig wells, in some cases, pursuing income is less successful than actually creating a business designed around
Hmm.
the why itself. So,
Right.
wow,
Wow.
I'm going on a tangent here,
No,
but
I get it. No, I'm following you. I get it. Some, and I think there's a couple words that that I've explored on the show. One was that were coming up when you were sharing that. It was the words were values and survival, right there. So I don't know why. I'll try to figure out the survival one, and hopefully it'll come out in my speaking about the values. But really recognizing, like, when we're finding our why, when we're starting with why, recognizing that there's a time in our life where our values, um, they shift. They're the priorities of those values. There may be a time where connection or belonging is a higher value than it'll be at another time. And I think many times that there is this all or nothing. I'll speak for myself.
sure.
My life showed up as all or nothing. It's like I'm either a nice guy or I'm not, right? you know? And it's like I either value people or I don't. And so I was not giving myself space to just kind of be how I'm going to be. Um,
Mm,
because, my why in that. So to ask myself, well, why was I showing up that way? Because I didn't want to be alone. I didn't want people to reject me. I did, and
mhm,
so when I don't want to say I got healed from that, but the more that I got access to what's driving how I'm showing up is because I don't want to be alone. I don't, I want to be heard. I want to be included. Um, then I kind of started looking at my values and started valuing um, myself, valuing my values, right? If that makes sense. To the point that I was now showing up in places where my values were. And then I wasn't so um I wasn't so committed to doing whatever I can to keep from being alone.
mm,
I was doing whatever I could to live out my values. And so there were people that were coming and going, within those environments, but my values were solid, or really kind of showing up for me. And it's like you said, it's, if your current values are current why is I want to get as much money so I can get as many Lamborghinis as I want, there's nothing wrong with that. But have at it, go for it. See how see how that works. And
I would just question why in that regard, because I like good things. I like things that bring joy, but I
right,
would question why. Do I really need 10
mm,
Lamborghinis?
right,
And if the answer is truly yes,
right,
I'd love to have a conversation with you, but I
right.
think that it's something different.
Right. Oh,
That's
I'm
just
I'm I'm sure it is. Yeah, I'm sure it is. But I think there's a part of me that's like, let people show up how they currently are showing up, and then they will realize that, you know what, hey, I need to make different choices. Right. I mean, I this is funny. This is funny and kind of scary. But through my high school years, I my snack of choice was Mountain Dew and Doritos. I mean, I think it was like running through my veins. And I think I was in my 20s or 30s or something, and I went to have like a bag of Doritos and Mountain Dew, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Right? It's like it was like my body was like, "No, we don't do this anymore," right? And it was like, how was how was this sustaining me, right? What was I thinking? It was. And I think that's how awareness shows up for me, that there are some things that it's like we are aware and we're not aware until we really become aware of what's going on. And so getting back
mm,
to why why someone would need 10 Lamborghinis, there is a level of awareness that would be cool. I can get dates. I can, my boys will respect me, whatever story that's going on.
right.
But behind that, there's something going on. And if you're willing to ask that why, then um, then you may not go after those 10. You may not need to. You may find, other ways to achieve that why, um, that may not cost you everything else.
Yeah, I mean, it in a lot of cases, it's we're lonely
Mm,
and we like social approval
mm,
and we like feeling worthwhile.
mm.
And there's a lot of ways to serve and
Right,
prove that we're worthwhile.
right. Yeah. Oh boy. The question that's coming up for me, and like I said,
Hmm.
I don't know if you can answer this or have thought about this. It's that when why comes up, why do you think the initial thing is judgment comes up with it? When somebody, or is that the case for you? But it's like for me, the first knee jerk when someone asks, well, William, why? There's like, it feels like there's a judgment that's coming up. Why do you think that is the case?
It's a great question. I find it's uncommon that people flat out ask why.
Hmm.
So other than children, where it's just why. I mean, I was the kid that literally every other word was why. Then
Right.
I got to an age where just because I said so just wouldn't cut it for me.
Right.
And I actually had an adverse reaction that even if I agreed with my parents, if they
Mm.
told me something, I wanted to do the opposite just because of
Wow.
not answering that question why. But I think maybe just the word why in itself, there's no empathy or
Hmm.
real humanity in the way it's asked.
Mm.
I think there's something that can be said for body language, eye contact, how the
Got it.
conversation's going, that if someone were to ask why, it's going to expand the conversation because that I'm open to listen. But in a lot of cases, I think why just is so short and piercing.
Right.
I like to ask, I prefer, I'm just curious, William. Can you elaborate more on that? Or uh, I, I'm just wondering. And I like to say I'm just curious to
Right.
say I'm genuinely curious here. Why is kind of piercing? It can be kind of accusatory,
Right.
like why did you do that? But
Right.
if you say I'm really just curious because I'm flawed as well,
Right.
why the heck did things go the way they went? It
Right.
initiates a better response. So I'm thinking why just being so short and sweet can be piercing.
Right.
But
Wow.
there's a level of empathy and body language and presence that it almost doesn't matter what comes out of your mouth if
Right.
you're genuinely listening to listen.
Right.
You don't
No,
have to say why.
the one thing that came up for me is that, um, starting with why is a good thing, except in a sentence, right? Because if if I start with why that you do X, Y, Z, or why is this, then it's like that dagger that you were saying. But if it comes later on in the sentence, then I think it's softer. It softens. And I was
Hmm,
trying to figure out a sentence where why came later. You, you know, so and so here's the problem with me is
yeah.
that I have I have a problem with periods, right? So you can tell by my speaking that it's like I have a comma and comma and comma. It's like, so I'll say something. So for me, why coming in later is not the beginning of another sentence. It's in the middle. It's in the middle of what I started with. That probably should be a sentence,
Hmm,
full stop, and then start another sentence. So it is, for me, it is really, if there's a placement of why, and I love your examples of just, or just kind of say, look, I'm kind of curious here, what's, and maybe there's no questions in there. um can you explain that a little, more? Can you give me a little more to that? Or, like I said, I love your language. I need to listen better so I can get your thing, because I think most of the times when I use why as a dagger, there is a level of fatigue.
hmm,
Like, I'm like exhausted. I mean, I could walk into a conversation exhausted because something just happened, and it's like, why? Right? It's like that's all. It is just like, and it is, and so because of my fatigueness, I try to shorten the communication, which makes the conversation more curse, um, than it could, or it would be if I just kind of, you know I'm really curious, about, what's happening right now. Can you add anything to that? Or, and that is, um, it's like you got time. And I think it goes back to, one of our other intention, words is, I am heard. And it's like,
hmm,
if you believe that you are heard, you don't have to shortcut it. You don't have to, you can take the time to say what you need to say, because people are listening to you. People are hearing with you. They can hear your heart. They can hear what's important. They can hear those things. And most of the times when I don't feel heard, I will lash out. That's it's like listen to me, right? Right?
yeah.
And usually when there is a demand on an interaction for me, it doesn't go well. It doesn't, and so then I lose the desire of curiosity, of learning something, of connecting. And I think that's why a part of my conversation is the inquiry to how we're showing up, how we're showing up for ourselves. Um, and that does mean self-care. That does mean, taking a break. All of those things, being recognizing that if something happens and I'm crying, right? I'm emotional. You are saying, huh, where is my energy, trying to go right now? Where have I been holding it, keeping it from moving, from being in motion?
Hmm.
So yeah, and just allow it to flow. So yeah. I think we can talk about this for hours, right? Just kind of find just keep whying ourselves, through this. But is there anything that's come up within this conversation that you would like to leave everybody with around why?
Yeah. I guess I would just say, ask the question, everyone, in a business context. Ask yourself why. It's a great way to unravel multiple layers. And on a personal context, you want to ask that question why until you've unwrapped so many layers that you're afraid of what you've came down. There's a practice where you just continuously write down a statement, then you write down why, and then answer it, why, and then answer it, and then you end with something completely different than when you
Right.
started. And I've ran that practice before, and this has
Hmm.
came up a lot during this conversation, but a big why for me is making every individual second in the moment as satisfactory and beyond as possible. So
Hmm.
acknowledgement that not every single moment's going to be perfect. I'm actually very tired and feel sick today. I'm
Hmm.
going to make this moment as blissful as possible with an understanding that my actions, my self-care
Hmm.
affects, it creates a reaction as well. So how
Hmm.
do I make this moment as blissful and engaging and present as possible with the acknowledgement that my decisions affect other people, and finding that balance of how am I going to show up for myself in a way that might even be tough at times because I need to acknowledge that I'm showing up for others as well.
Right.
That's a big thing for me. There's really bad times in life,
Right.
and that's the thing I run into. That's why I end up crying out of the blue, because I have this mindset that let's make this moment positive. Not every moment's going to be perfect, but if you have that understanding
Right.
that you make it as good as possible with the acknowledgement that it needs to expand and grow, and create a ripple effect that positively impacts other people's lives, I feel like you can find a way to give self-care without being a total hedonist, which is something
Right.
I find myself doing at times. Hedonism is great in the moment, but it's like the Mountain Dew example. Your body is or your mind, your body is like, well, I can't. I'm burpy. I feel uncomfortable. I
Right.
can't believe I used to drink a liter or two a day when I was a kid. My body can't handle this, and that's where that mindfulness comes in.
Right. Well, thank you very much. Um, this was wide reaching, and I'm still there. There are still more layers. And your example of your practice of starting with a question and just going down and see, with the whys. I've never heard of that, but I am definitely going to use that because it will probably save me hours, right?
It's a whole nother podcast, and it could be
Right.
excruciating, but literally just asking why to the
Right.
point that the other person wants to strangle you, that's how you get down to the good stuff.
So great. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to put you back in the green room. If you're able to stay our goodbyes from there, that would be great. Um, but thank you very much for
Thank
this.
you,
This has
William.
been great. Yeah, asking what why, asking why. Um, there's a number of ways that why can show up for us, and one is a questioning. Another one is just asking a question. And the more that we're willing to, as Ben said, ask until someone wants to strangle you, right? Or you want to strangle yourself. It's like, stop it. That's probably the next why. The next why that will give you access to what you want and how you see things going. So, how is why showing up for you? How is why landing for you today? How can why make a difference in your life? That's the question that's coming up for me. I hope this conversation has brought value to your day and also to your life. I invite you to reach out to me at IamWilliamBrown.com, a place to be yourself and live your life. For to sign up for a complimentary coaching session, and we'll see what comes up. Because the world wants you, the world needs you, but the world isn't waiting for you. So go be you. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you next time on One Word Conversations.